So yeah, good afternoon, good morning again, and like please remember to rename yourself with the group you assigned. And welcome to the GBIF Data Mobilization Workshop for West Asia 2026. And let me like introduce about the rules and about the workshops. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen? Okay, good. Um, so my name is Melissa Liu, and I'm from Taiwan. And together with Lily Strata and VJ Barve, we represent IGBIF Asia Regional Support Team. And the major task we do is to support the Asian institutions in the activities around like biodiversity data publishing and use through the GBIF network. So we also help like address capacity building needs in these like institutions. So this is why we are organizing this like workshop for Asia, West Asia. Also, it's the first time for West Asia. So thank you for like participate in this workshop. And like GBIF also hosts like several data mobilization workshop like this every year. And we have like organized the workshops for Asia actually since 2022. So today we are also like joined by some mentors. Today we have like two mentors, and like in the coming sessions, like the second day, third day, and the last day, we will have like more mentors to join. And also, we have like one trainer, Andrew from JBIF Secretariat. And we would like to like thank the mentors and for their time and support in this workshop. So you will like know more about them when they introduce themselves. Um, okay, and but I can now say that they are like highly skilled in the biodiversity informatics and data mobilization. So like just feel free to ask any questions to mentors and trainers and in the chat box, or even like raise your hands when the QA session is open. Okay. So as the participants, like you represent like about 29 individuals from different West Asia countries. So also represent for the different like data holding institutions. Okay, and um, okay. And as far as I remember, like all of you as participants, like have expressed your interest in publishing the data. So we hope you uh we hope this workshop will like provide you with necessary skills as like we finish up this workshop course. We look like we hope you can like we will have like great session, and you will also have like ability to publish the data after the workshop. Okay. Before we introduce the activities of this week, I would like to cover some like housekeeping and ground rules for the like 4 sessions. The Zoom sessions will be recorded and made available to participants of this workshop. If any of you like miss a session or have technical difficulties joining Zoom, we will like provide it after the session. Okay. We like recognize that in this virtual setting, it is not always possible for everyone to be present at every moment. Well, the expectation is that you will be here for each session. If you need to miss a session or step out, please like let us know when you'll be like gone, and when will you like return. And you can send an email in advance or use the private chat function here on Zoom. Okay. When you sign up for the workshop, we ask you to complete a media release. So if you did not agree to media release, then please keep your camera off so that we are not recording your image. And if you do social media, okay, please use the hashtag GBIF West Asia. Do not share any photos of people. Screenshots or of materials or presentations are fine. And we will do a group selfie on the first session, and the last session. And that photo can be shared at that time, as people who don't want their image shared can opt out. Okay. So generally, it is good to keep your microphone muted to minimize background noise during presentations. You can use the chat function to ask questions or contribute additional information. You can also use the reactions button to raise your hand if you'd like to be called during discussions. We will also use breakout sessions for breakout rooms for each session. Okay, with breakout rooms, it will take a few moments to get everyone to correct breakout room. Once we start the breakout session, you will be directed to a virtual room with your group. So that is listed in the group assignment document shared in yesterday's and today's email. And please do unmute your microphones and participate during the breakout sessions. This is your time to meet new partners and engage in dialogue. Okay. So to facilitate breakout room assignments, when you enter Zoom for each session, please rename yourself to include the group number and you are assigned. For example, Melissa, I'm Melissa, so I will rename myself as 05 Melissa Liu. So it's underscore or dash, both are fine. And to do this, you can just click on the participants button, and the participant screen will allow you to see who's currently in the meeting. And hover over your name in the list and click the more button. It's with the three dots. Okay. And choose rename and change your screen name to include your group name at the beginning of your name. Okay. So if you haven't done this already, please do it now. Okay. This is the agenda for the workshop for 4-day sessions. And I think you already have that in your email. And this workshop is virtual, so we will have 2.5 hours online session together, and the pre-session instruction will happen offline via a series of pre-recorded videos. So in the 2.5 hours a day that we do spend together, we will use the time for discussion, Q&A session, activities, and practice. So we hope you have completed the first self-paced part of this workshop, including the introduction to the GBIF course and the foundation videos. And for the second part, we will have one daily, no, not daily actually. It's one session, 2 sessions per week, from now until next Thursday. Okay. After the Zoom session, you will have self-paced instruction to complete the next session. Okay. Please do not rush through all the activities in advance. Try to keep pace with the each session's theme. We will like email you at the end of each session and with the self-paced work you need to complete before the next section. You will like notice that agenda is color coded. So the colors correspond to the different categories of learning for this week and next week. So we will be like covering like data capture, data management, data publishing. And after the online session of like this week and next week, you will also need to complete the assignments in form of two use cases for which you will have like 4 weeks to complete and submit. This is for like awarding of badges to certify the skills that you have achieved for this work from this workshop. So as I just mentioned, we offer digital certification upon successful completion of this workshop. You will need to submit your assignments in English within 4 weeks, and we will grade your assignments based on the educational rubrics, okay, which is also available in the assessment and certification section of the course materials. For those of you like who achieve the required score, you will be awarded either a basic or an advanced level badge. And in terms of the workshop resources, apart from Zoom and online materials, we will also be using the integrated publishing toolkit next week. And you will learn how to use an IPT to publish and register your data to GBIF. And the training IPTs are like hosted by the GBIF informatics team. So next Monday, we will use like OpenRefine. In the foundation section is the instruction of installing OpenRefine locally on your laptop. And if you have like difficulty with that, please like let us know so that we can provide you with an alternative option. So before we go into the breakout session to meet and talk to your like fellow group members, um, we like mentors and trainers will introduce ourselves first. And as like you've watched in the welcome video delivered by our like GBIF head of communications, Kyle Kopas, in the introduction to GBIF course, like he talked about our community of practice and how like today's trainees can become tomorrow's mentors. So this is absolutely true. Some of your mentors, like for this workshop, are the advanced badge earners of previous workshops. And this workshop would not be possible without the additional support that mentors provide. So then we will go into breakout rooms for individual like introduction within the group for about 20 minutes later. So the first I'll let like all like trainers and mentors introduce themselves. Okay, so me first. I'm Melissa Liu. Like not only the member of the GBIF Asia Regional Support Team, but I also like I'm working for the GBIF No Taiwan. We also call TaiBIF since 2018. So I have like experience in designing the training courses and also help like many institutions in Taiwan and in Asia to publish their data sets. And okay, and also my background is about like marine biology. So if you have like data about marine data, you can also like discuss it with me. Okay, then I'll let like Lily introduce herself.
Melissa, will you like to stop sharing maybe?
Okay, sorry.
Hi
Rika?
everyone.
Okay.
My name is Lily Shrestha and I'm from Nepal. I'm also one of the member of GBIF Asia Regional Support Team together with my colleagues here. And currently I'm only affiliated in this particular role. So what we do in this role is basically help any data holding institutions like you all from Asia region to publish their biodiversity data through GWIF for open access. We also help people when they want to use data that's been available in GWIF already in their research and if they have some questions. So I look forward to working with you all in the coming sessions and helping you with all if there is any interest in publishing or mobilizing your data through GBIF. Thank you. Nice to see you all.
Okay, and the next is VJ.
Hello, I'm Vijay Barve. I'm from Nasik, India. I've been working on biodiversity informatics related aspects for a very long time. I am part of this team for last 4 years now, and as Lily and Melissa said, we are here to help all the data holders to publish their data as well as any researchers who want to use the data in different ways for their research. We are here to help. So yeah, get in touch with us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, VJ and Andrew.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Hi, I'm Andrew Rodriguez. I'm based at the GBIF Secretariat in Copenhagen, Denmark. I am Data Partnerships Officer there, and my role is in supporting the mobilization and use of data for decision making. And I'm involved in this workshop because I noticed that we had a real lack of capacity for data management, data publishing, data use in West Asia. And so I set out to engage with the region to bring in more data publishing from this region. So this is really exciting to see this workshop here today, and happy to be here with you all.
Thank you, Andrew. And then is our mentor. First is Charuta.
Hello everyone, I'm Charuta Gore from Pune, India. I am a plant taxonomist and cytogeneticist by training. I have also been part of GBIF course like you all, um, and now I'm mentoring for this course. I am also associated with IUCN Red List as a assessor, global assessor, and yeah, so I've
Okay. And thanks, Charuta. But like I think we have the second mentor today. Okay, Ram is here. And Ram,
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Ram Dayal Vaishnav. I am from India. I have previously attended this workshop in self-paced mode, and then also as one of the live workshops. And then finally, very happy to be here as a mentor. Apart from this, I'm also working as a citizen science practitioner and head of citizen engagement at the Naturalist School, and also part of the Citizen Science Asia and Citizen Science Global Partnership. So these are few of the areas I work in. We have conducted a lot of biodiversity documentation related initiatives in India, and uh, I am trying to push more people to publish their data set on GBIF. So we did one workshop in Bangalore on the offline mode as well. So yes, very excited to be part of this workshop as a mentor. Thank you.
okay, thank you, Ram. So before we go to like breakout session, let me remind you again. So we will have like 20 minutes for introduce yourself to each other. And then after 20 minutes, like please like select one reporter or a volunteer to report like what's like impress yourself. Uh let me see. So like about like three questions you should like introduce in your group. The first one is your name, position like institutional or project affiliation. So it's about your background. Okay, and the second is like what kind of data do you have or are interested in? And so like the third is to share something like interesting, maybe like some fun facts. Like my fun facts would be, okay, I'm also the scuba diver, free diver. And so like you can also share this kind of like habits to each other. So the reporter just like you can report like what kind of background from your group and what kind of the data they have. Okay. And what's something like you're impressed. Okay. So, Lily, is the breakout
Yes.
room ready?
Were you able to complete the introductions? That's great.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. Okay. So I hope you had a great time for chatting to each other and introduce yourself and like know more about your group partners. Okay. So maybe I just like, did you remember to select one reporter? Okay, okay, great. So, yeah, sometimes people just forget they're like chatting too much. Okay. Okay. So because I am in group five, so I'll just let my group partner to report first. They're like okay, Ahmed, could you please?
Yes. Could you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, good morning. We have the priority to take part on reporting in the first, and thank you to be in yellow group. We call it yellow. We don't know why it's yellow, but it seems it's something good. Anyway, we are in the group. We are four persons, two ladies and two gentlemen, and Sam from Jordan, Ikhlas from Oman, and Saeed from Yemen, and also me, Ahmed Shekeli from Oman. We talk about the data we have only, and Sam is working on the terrestrials data, freshwaters, bird, mammals, etc. So, and of course, there's a lot of endemic also species in Jordan, and they try to conserve them. Ikhlas, it says she is new in the field, but she's mainly interested in bird data, and it's actually work on some of the project from Environment Authority, from the Environment Society of Oman, and she's interested to know more and also on how to get to publish their data online. Saeed from Yemen is interested in all data that related to environment. He's not a specific in such data, but still the intention is to know what's the data is available, how he can use this data, and how we can also he share some data that he might have. For myself, also I am working in the marine environment, but I go across different sector and field regarding biodiversity, terrestrials, and also working in nature reserve, management of nature reserve, and also projects that related to the endemic species, especially in Oman, from terrestrials going to the oryx, gazelles, Arabian oryx, and also in the marine like Arabian humpbacked whale. This is just a brief that we are talking, but the time is limited for us to talk more. But hopefully, there's other session that we can give you something more about us, and you know, more, and we know each other quite well. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank
Back to you.
you. Thank you, Ahmed. So like things like he mentioned about we should be actually we discussed about we should be blue team blue group because we are like Our background is more like freshwater, so and marine thing. So next group should be the first one, blue group.
Okay, I think we were a more, shall we say, diverse group in terms of it covered everything from land, sea, GIS, and everything else. And first, thank you all for having us and for the training. And it's so nice to see so many familiar faces. So in our group, we had a mixture between, again, different countries. So there was Lebanon, Egypt, Jordan, and Bahrain. And also a diverse mixture of organizations. So you've got like IUCN, you've got people working in academia, like Mansoura University, which is where Bilal is based in Egypt. Joseph's from Lebanon, working for an NGO called Lebanon Reforestation Initiative. And Hannah's from the IUCN office, and I'm from Nuwat in Bahrain. Um, we were talking about the difference in data that everybody is handling. So there is data from paleontology, from marine biology fields. There's data from terrestrial ecosystems, especially like if we're looking at reforestation and species redistribution models that is being worked in. And yeah, I think people's interesting facts are also very interesting, with people loving to watch movies, being able to run or follow two meetings at a time. And I think a lot of food is involved as well. So that's our group two, our group one.
Thank you, Reem. And then the next is red team.
I'm not sure if we're red team, but I'm group two, so I'll go ahead. We had a nice discussion, and it was interesting. I'm used to just dealing with biologists, and we had a group that wasn't all biologists. So we had some people who were into paleontology, some people into archaeology, and then a cluster of biologists from the academic side all the way to international governance. Which was great. We also had geographic representation. So we had sort of a Oklahoma slash Egypt connection, Lebanon, Bahrain, the UAE, Qatar. And so a wide representation of Southwest Asia, North Africa. Um, and what I quite liked about it is that diversity of perspectives, because we did have people that were in the marine realm, other people who were in deeper time, and other people who were into terrestrial systems. So it was quite nice in that perspective. And one link that seemed to cross all of us in the group was an interest in the broad natural history of the various countries and nations in this region. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Actually, group number two is like green, but it's fine. It's like group four now. It's the red group.
Akhtar.
It's okay. So group four.
Dana, you want to go?
Sure. We were also a diverse group. Each one of us had a different background. So we had people who were with a background with geology, people with paleontology, agriculture, marine biology. So we were diverse. It was very interesting to listen to each one of us, what our focuses were. We had people talk about fossils. We had people talk about seagrass feeding. We had no connection. Am I still on? Okay. Because we have some celebrations around here, so hopefully they're not affecting my voice. We also shared links for different papers. We had the chance to see what we worked on. We were also from different countries. So I'm from Lebanon, we had from Bahrain, we had from Qatar, we had from America also working in Qatar, from India. So it was a nice mixture.
Thank you, Dana. It sounds like so far every group has like diverse background, actually. Okay, and should be the last one, right? Group three. purple group.
Yeah, sorry, Melissa. I forgot to get someone to volunteer. Is it okay if I do it for my group? I think I'm the only one that kept notes. So
So like maybe group 3, like who can be the volunteer?
I think I'm the only one that kept notes. So is it okay if I do it? Or I mean, I could volunteer. I think VJ's nodding his head, but sorry, that was my fault. I wasn't listening to the
But
instructions, but
yeah, but we hope like mentor is like and trainer is not going to be the volunteer. So like would be one from participants.
Andrew, if you want, I can volunteer. It's okay.
oh, thanks, Rita. Thanks.
I don't have as much notes as the others, but I can initially share that we are like the yellow group fighting for the blue collar, as we have a lot of marine biologists in our group. And we have a diverse, like we have people like I'm in UAE, we have Bahrain, we have Iran, Yemen, and from Egypt, but in KSA. And I hope I'm not forgetting anyone. Andrew, help me out if you have more notes. But we have data on algae, fish, coral, and what else we talked? We talked about how to publish data into data papers and different interests and people that love cats as well. And another thing is that both me and Andrew are from background in Portugal. So that's another connection, right?
That's right.
Both
You
from
got some excellent notes as well. Thanks, Rita.
and that's it.
Okay. Thanks, Rita, for saving your group. Okay. So yeah, okay. Thank you all, everyone. And yeah, it had the great introduction to your group members. So we just like move on to next should be the selfie time. Thank you. Okay, that's great. So the next part would be Andrew to introduce about GBIF. Okay, I'll just give the floor to Andrew.
Thanks, Melissa. Okay, I'm just gonna share my screen. Hopefully you can see the slideshow. Okay, so hopefully you can all see that my presentation now. I'm looking to Melissa to give me, yeah,
Yes.
perfect. Okay. So I'm going to give you an introduction to GBIF. So some of this will go over some of the stuff you may have already seen. This is a good refresher on what we are, what we do, and yeah, and hopefully this will just be a refresher of some of the stuff that you may have already know. So let me just start with the beginnings of GBIF. So GBIF started, it came out of an OECD mandate in 1999, where there was recognition that for us to be able to do some of the biodiversity science that is needed, that there needed to be some kind of infrastructure on which data on biodiversity could be shared freely and openly for science. So we really came out of this OECD mandate in 1999. And then in 2001, we really started. And it's just to remind you that we are celebrating our 25th birthday this year. And as of last week, we started sharing it. So we're now, so we're an international network and data infrastructure that has been around now for 25 years. We provide anyone, anywhere, free and open access to data about all types of life on Earth. We are an intergovernmental organization, so we currently comprise of 65 countries, member countries. These countries sign a voluntary memorandum of understanding within which sets out some of the requirements of the countries. One of these being, for instance, setting up of a national node that will coordinate and support data publishing and use activities at a national level. We have the Secretariat here in Copenhagen, in Denmark, where we have a hosting agreement from the Danish government. Here at the Secretariat, we have a relatively small, I consider it relatively small, around 30 people working here in the Secretariat. But yeah, importantly, what I want to say about this is we are more than just a website. So most people think of us as a website. They come in, they download data. What we actually are is an intergovernmental organization that provides this data infrastructure that allows organizations all around the world to share their data freely and openly for reuse in science and in decision making. So here is a map of our participant countries. So these are countries that have signed this voluntary memorandum of understanding. We have two levels of participation. We have our voting participants. So these are countries that contribute annually. So they pay an annual contribution to GBIF based on the GDP of the country. And they have voting rights in our governing board, which meets once every year. And so they will decide on the work plan for the year ahead. They will vote on things like our strategic framework, budget, etc., etc. So that's really our governance comes from these participant countries. We also have associate participants. So associate participants also sign the voluntary memorandum of understanding. They do not pay an annual contribution into GBIF. But as a result, they do not have voting rights at the governing board either. So they can hold this status for up to 5 years, at which point then they have to decide whether to join as a voting participant or not. So that's our formal network. What's important to remember is, or it's important to highlight, is that while we have this formal network, what we have are a much larger number of institutions from a much larger number of countries sharing their data through GBIF. So one of the noticeable gaps in our formal network, for instance, is in Asia. But what you actually see is that we have a number of organizations in the Asia region that are sharing data through GBIF. So it's not a requirement to be part of the formal network of GBIF to share through data, and we have a much larger network when we look at the data publishing institutions in GBIF. In Asia, specifically, we have 4 country participants. We have 1 voting, which is South Korea, and then we have 3 associate countries. As you can see, though, most of Asia is still not within the GBIF network, and this is something that we are really working to build participation in that region. We also have 6 other associate participants in the region. So these are international organizations with an international scope, and we have 6 of those that are based in the Asia region and are part of our node network. So I'm going to stick with this little diagram for a little bit, because this really explains the work that GBIF does and explains a little bit the data that we collect. So we have, first of all, our data publishing networks. So on the left of this diagram, you can see the types of organizations that share their data through GBIF. So GBIF was initially set up really within the museums and collections community for sharing data. That's really where we started. But what we've seen that this has broadened with time and lots of other different types of organizations are joining. Now, the biggest contributor of data into GBIF is actually through citizen science. So we have a lot of, for instance, well-known apps that will share their data, including eBird and iNaturalist, for instance. We're also seeing increasing amounts of data. A new, bigger growing community of data sharers as well is in the business sector as well. This is now increasing in terms of the numbers of data publishers publishing through GBIF. The way that data is collected can be in many different ways. So we have specimens. Sorry, apologies. We have specimens. So this, as I said, originally in the museums and collections. We have observation, so typically what you might get in citizen science, for instance. Literature, so mining the literature for where we have new occurrences of species. Sensor-based, so this would be things like camera traps, acoustic monitoring, telemetry data as well. And more recently, we've also now have flows of environmental DNA data as well coming in to GBIF. So we have all these different sources of the data. And the way we can bring that all together is by standardizing that data. So we have a set of common standards. So we have the Darwin Core standard, which is really what you'll be learning today, which allows us to bring in this course, which allows us to bring all this data from all these different sources around a standard that can then the standard allows us to bring in all this data from all these different sources. The data that the publishers will come in, they will standardize their data to Darwin Core. They will then attribute an open license, one of 3 Creative Commons licenses to the data, which I will explain in a little bit. And then what we do here at the Secretariat is we provide a tool that allows our network to publish the data into GBIF. And that tool is the IPT, the Integrated Publishing Toolkit, which you'll also discover in this course. So we have the organizations, they have their data, they standardize it, they give it an open license, then use an IPT to map their data to the standards, and then to publish into GBIF. Or register into GBIF, where it then gets indexed. Once it's indexed, we can build services off the back of it. So this will be through our APIs, which allow access programmatically to the data, through our website, which is also built off the APIs, but is the most common access point to the data, or through cloud services, where we put in monthly snapshots of the data into cloud services and allow users to use them. So we have all this standardized data coming into GBIF, it's indexed, we build off web services off the back of it, and then what happens is that users can come into GBIF, and user can be anyone around the world. All they need is a username and a password to create an account in GBIF. They can come in, they can search all of the data within GBIF, and they can do downloads off the back of that. And with those downloads, we have digital object identifiers that come off, that are given with every download. As part of our data user agreement, we request our users to cite those DOIs in the use of that data, so in any papers that they may publish, or in any other kind of use of that data. We can then track those DOIs, and what we can see is that the data is used in a wide range of topics, and also in some products on the science policy interface. So this will include things like red lists, this will include things like IPBES assessments, but also indicators within the Global Biodiversity Framework, which I'll talk about a little bit. So this is what the data looks like. This was of last week, I think. So what you can see is that we have data from all realms. So we have terrestrial, marine, freshwater. But what you do see is that there are some biases. So we have geographical biases. So we have more data typically in the global north. We have taxonomic biases. These are not so easily seen on this. So we tend to have birds that are overrepresented within GBIF. That's not to say we don't have data on many other things, but there are a lot of birds in GBIF. And then there's also temporal biases. So most of the data coming into GBIF is from more recent times than it is from the past, as you might expect. So just to talk about the different types of data richness that can be published into GBIF. So you can publish a metadata data set. So this is this will be a description of underlying data without any of the actual data behind it. So this will typically give a taxonomic, geographic, or temporal scope. can publish species checklists. So these are lists of taxa that are typically regional or thematic. So this could be, for instance, the invasive species list for Bahrain. It could be the red list of a certain country. So this will typically just be a taxonomic list with some kind of regional or thematic focus to it. We then have occurrence only data. So this is sort of how most of our data comes in. So this is species occurrences. So this will typically have scientific name, a date, coordinate, and a basis of record as well. So how that data was collected. And then finally, we have sampling event data, and this is our richest type of data, and this will have that occurrence information, but it will also have information on the sampling effort and the protocols used, and maybe abundance as well. So it has that richer information around the sampling that went around that data set, around that data that you wouldn't get in the other data sets. So these are the 4 levels of data richness that can be published into GBIF. So I mentioned this before. This is the Darwin core. So this is the standard that we use for standardizing data from all our different data sets. There are a wide number of fields that can be used. I'm not going to go into all of them now. This will be part of the course. I think what's important to know is that we have this standard in place, and you will be taught on that and over this course. We have our Creative Commons as well. So we have 3 Creative Commons licenses. We have CC0. This is that data may be available for any use without any restrictions. We have CC BY. Data can be available for any use with appropriate attribution. And then we have CC BYNC, so that data can be made available for any non-commercial use with appropriate attribution. So these are the 3 licenses that can be attributed to a data set. That will be a choice that you as a data provider will make before publishing your data. So just to talk about the use of the data. So just to put this in the perspective of the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity 2030 targets and indicators. So here we have sort of a mapping process just to quickly map where the data in GBIF is relevant across the different targets. So I'm not going to go into all of these right now, but as you can see, most of them are within the 1 to 8 targets. So these ones are really specifically more on the kind of the biodiversity focus of the targets. And then we have the business target, and then also capacity, and then of course, best available data. I'll just go into those a little bit now. So target 21, this is really the key work of GBIF, as I see it. So this is to ensure that the best available data, information, and knowledge are accessible to decision makers, practitioners, and the public. So this is really GBIF's key role. There is a headline indicator on which countries have to report on. This is an indicator on biodiversity information for the monitoring the global biodiversity framework. This is still in development, but GBIF will be part of that. An important part addition to that is that the complementary indicators to this target is the growth in species occurrence records accessible through the Global Biodiversity Information Facility. So countries can use that information that we provide in GBIF to report against that target in their national reporting. So that's target 21, which is, I want to repeat, one of the where GBIF's real work is. There are also a number of other headline indicators across the framework where GBIF mediated data or GBIF is directly referenced or used. So there are 4 of those headline indicators for 4 different targets where we're mentioned. We're also used indirectly in other science policy data products, one of these being red list assessments. So we know that 1/4 of global assessments use GBIF mediated data. These red lists are used as the basis for red list indices within national reporting. And GBIF mediated data provides area of occupancy and extent of occurrence measures, which are used in the assessments of red lists for mapping distributions. So here I took an example from Jordan. So in red, you have the IUCN known distribution for that species, so the red polygon. So this is what we know. I put the GBIF mediated data occurrences as those pink dots that you can see. And what you can see is that we have additional information in GBIF on the potential distribution of that species that could be included in a red list assessment of that species. So just to show how that data can be used within a red listing process. Also with key biodiversity areas, so these are used for identifying areas of high biodiversity importance in targets 1, 2, and 3. There is one criteria, A1, for identifying key biodiversity areas, which is the percentage of the global population size of globally threatened species. So here I've taken an example of Saudi Arabia in orange. In the polygons, you have the key biodiversity areas for Saudi Arabia. And in yellow, what you have are additional points from GBIF of critically endangered, and vulnerable species in Saudi Arabia. So we have additional information on the distribution of those species in Saudi Arabia that could be used for assessing key biodiversity areas. For West Asia, in total, we have over 100,000 occurrence records for 912 globally threatened species that could be used for those assessments. In West Asia and GBIF more generally, so we have 3,297 data sets, over 7 million occurrence records coming from 596 publishers all around the world. What's important to just point out is that only 5 of those publishers are based in West Asia. So we have a total of 13 endorsed publishers in the region. Only 5 of those have produced are publishing data into GBIF. And so it would only be 5 out of this 596 that are accounting for this 7 million. So this is why we're having this workshop. So hopefully we can get those numbers up a little more. When you look at the taxonomic contribution, there are a lot more animals than anything else, but as you can see, we have occurrences from a number of other kingdom as well. And then we have, when you look at the data use, we have 312 peer-reviewed publications about West Asia, and that just shows you a breakdown of the different topics that are covered by some of those peer-reviewed articles. So you can see they cover everything from human health, conservation, invasives. There's a whole range of topics. So become a publisher. So this is one of the first questions we often get when we talk about GBIF. It's how do we publish? I have this data set I really want to publish. How do I do it? At which point we have to just point out that you cannot publish as an individual in GBIF, that it is an organization that publishes data into GBIF, and there is an endorsement process. So an organization will request to become a data publisher in GBIF, so they will acknowledge the data publisher agreement. And then we'll ask for an endorsement from either a national node, if there is one in place. And in this region, we do not have national nodes. So in that instance, then the endorsement request will go through to our nodes committee to endorse. And our nodes committee comprises of our nodes steering group. So these are regional representatives from across our global nodes community. So once the organization has been endorsed, it'll be up for the organization then to decide on what the best option for the IPT would be in their organization. So if they have the resources, they may want to install the IPT on their own servers, which is also possible. If they do not have that, there are other options. We can find a host in another organization for that organization, or they can use one of the GBIF hosted IPTs. So these are hosted in our clouds. And we have one specifically for the Asia region as well. So there are several IPT options, and it will be up to the organization to decide what's the best option for them once they've been endorsed. So the benefits for publishing open access data. So contribute to global knowledge about biodiversity. I'm always thinking around this target 21 of the global biodiversity framework. So how can we fill data gaps? There's a real there's a real need for that. That's a real benefit that we can do through publishing data. We can fill some of those data gaps. Gives visibility to publishing institutions. So your organization will have a web presence. It will show you the data being mobilized, and also you'll be able to track how that data is being reused by other organizations as well. You will have new opportunities of collaboration. So this new visibility will facilitate that, be able to trace usage and citations of digitized data. So as I said, when users come, there'll be a DOI attributed to that download. When that DOI is cited, we can then attribute that use back to the original data providers. So you'll be able to see how your data is being reused again for uses beyond what you had originally considered. And then it makes the data freely accessible. Some of the challenges, and I don't want to focus too much on these, but there are challenges. There's a reluctancy to share data. That is something that we can come up against. A lack of awareness about the importance of open access data, existing data networks and infrastructures, inadequate support for data generation, digitization, publication, and less participation in GBIF. Again, a lot of this is what we want to start addressing with this workshop. This is really a first step for improving some of that. And then finally, just to reiterate the importance of our community of practice. So again, we are more than just a website. There is a network of organizations and individuals that support all of this work. Our community of practice is important. This is a group of volunteering individuals and institutions around the world that support publishing of biodiversity, use of mediated data. They use their supporters in all of our trainings. There are several types of volunteers in this community of practice. So we have mentors. We have some mentors here in our workshop, trainers, open data ambassadors as well. So for those within our community that will promote the benefits of sharing data within their networks. And we also have translators as well within our community of practice. And these are all open to yourselves as well once you to become part of that community of practice. And it would be great if we start seeing a community in this region as well, building from this. So yeah, so I think I only had 15 minutes, so I hope I kept to time. But yes, I will stop sharing and take some questions. I think John has his hand up already.
Yeah, so just two questions. So you went over broadly what are the reasons that people don't provide data to GBIF, but I'm more interested in why. So you have 13 organizations that were endorsed as publishers, yet only 5 have actually contributed data. What appears to be the primary reason? Because that's very specific to this region. What's the primary reasons that you're hearing? Is it lack of funding support? Because, I even remember from the training programs that you need a minimum of 4 employees to basically manage this cat herding. Is it that, or is it the data security issues? What is the primary barriers that you're hearing from the other 8 groups that are not contributing data, even though they requested endorsement? And then I guess my second question is unrelated, but what about data sets that are already publicly available, as in they've already been published in a data paper or are available online? Is it redundant to then put them in GBIF, or would you like those sorts of data also allocated to GBIF? Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, it's difficult for me to say why those organizations that requested endorsement have not published data because we do not have specific details as to why. It could have been that I don't know, it was an idea that they had and they thought it would that there was something that they wanted to do, but once they got into the kind of I guess the nitty-gritty of actually publishing data in GBIF it turned out it was too complex for them. It's difficult for me to say. What we do see is that where we have organizations that there is a real desire to do it, then it tends to happen. So I think it's a lot to do with the individual motivations of people within those organizations, more than anything else. That seems to be the main hurdle. I should also say as well that what I didn't check on that is I didn't check when these organizations were endorsed. It could be that these happened sort of previous to when we had Asia, sort of regional support in Asia that would help data publishers as well. Because yes, some of the ones that I have been involved with more recently have been getting quite a lot of support from from our regional support, which has been helpful in getting the data into GBIF. In terms of publishing already published data into GBIF, yes, publish into GBIF, then you can then, by having the data somewhere else, it makes it, first of all, it's not standardized, it's not interoperable. You can't combine it with a larger data set. It just, yes. So there's nothing stopping you republishing it in GBIF, and just by doing that, what it does, it standardizes the data and makes it interoperable with other data sets.
Okay,
Thank you.
one more. Yeah. Sorry, abdominum. Not sure if I pronounced it correctly.
Yeah, that's correct. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew, for the great presentation. I have a question regarding the one useful tool based on my experience here in the region in West Asia and engaging with governments, specifically environmental ministries and authorities. From my engagement with these countries, they are very keen when it comes to EPI, Environmental Performance Index. So this is for this region is a very, very important tool. And I'm not sure if you have done some kind of homework to convince the government and the countries how this tool can contribute to raising the API for these countries, because I think this is one catchy point or entry point for the region to consider. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about the EPI. Yes. So I 100% agree with you. One of the topics that comes up regularly in my conversations with governments in the region is how does GBIF relate to the EPI? And how will this affect our performance? So I took it upon me to go into that index and work out which indicators were being used in the development of this composite index. and then worked out which ones were related, which one of those indicators were using GBIF mediated data. So what I've done is I have that whole thing where I can see which indicators and to what extent each indicator contributes to the global index, to the point where I can make some recommendations in terms of data flows and how that would affect the index more generally. The one issue I have around this is that I'm still having some issues getting to the precise algorithm that they use in developing this index, but I can already start to make some general recommendations around how data flows into GBIF would affect the EPI. And I have I think started some of those conversations with governments in the region. So yes, noted about the EPI, and yes, I have been working on that to make those connections between the EPI and GBIF data flows.
Yep. Okay, sorry, Hannah, we will need to continue to the next part, but we will have the QA session for all. I think after Lily's part, you will have more questions. Okay, later. So, so let's just like give the time to Lily to introduce about the standards and Darwin core, and then we will have QA sessions. Okay.
Thank you, Melissa. Let me share my screen. Can you see my slide and can you hear me well?
Yes.
Hello, everyone again. Lily here. So this is actually something that you have not reviewed yet. It will be a part of data capture module that we will be discussing in detail on Thursday. But I just wanted to give you a quick introduction to standards and basically more about Darwin Core Standard that Andrew also just talked about, because Darwin Core Standard is what we will be using to standardize our data for publishing into GBIF. So I wanted to give this review before the session this Thursday, because I think it will also give you some time to review the terms that are available in Darwin Core and review the Darwin Core Quick Reference Guide. This will be very helpful when we are doing the exercise on Thursday. So let me start with what standard is. We all know standard at its simplest is an agreed way of doing something, and which is combinations of norms, conventions, specifications, requirements, restrictions, and rules. But when we look at biodiversity informatics, there are many standards that are already available that can help you work with your data. These data standards are basically the rules by which data are described and recorded in order to share, exchange, and understand data in the common language. And for sharing in data in GBIF, as I've already mentioned, we use Darwin Core Standard. Andrew has also mentioned about it, and it's also in the Introduction to GBIF course. So we'll spend the rest of the presentation on Darwin Core Standard that allows us to share our occurrence, taxonomic, and event data set that Andrew just described. So talking more about Darwin Core is a biodiversity standard that is developed by the Biodiversity Informatics Community, or as we call it, TEDWIC. It is simply the list of fields and their definitions as they relate to biodiversity data. This is the list of column names that we use in our data set. This is something we can use to capture information about biodiversity in our data set. Darwin Core is primarily based on taxa, their occurrence in nature as documented by observations, specimens, samples, and related information. So let us also talk quickly about why we should use Darwin Core Standard when we are sharing data in GBIF. Darwin Core Standard or any biodiversity standard is basically necessary because we have also already known from Andrew's presentation, there are like 148 countries from where data is coming into GBIF from thousands of institutions. So they need a proper and common language to share the data so that the data is understood in the same way by everyone and the data is not misunderstood. While it is important for data holders to have a common standard or common language for sharing data, it is equally important for data users to understand the data in the same way so that they can decide whether the data is fit for their use and make use of the data in science and policy making. So there's a lot of terms that is available under Darwin Core to help you, standardize your data. And to understand all the terms that are available in Darwin Core, we need to refer back and forth to this Darwin Core Quick Reference Guide, which is a very useful resource to go to when we are trying to capture and standardize our data set. It has all the terms with definitions, comments, and examples, as you can also see in the screenshot here, that will help us understand each term and decide whether the term will be fit for our use in our data set. This is also called Simple Darwin Core. You can see predefined subset of terms. And you can also see on the right of the screenshot, there are multiple categories or field classes, and each categories will include many Darwin Core terms. So totaling to more than, I think, 180 or something. So it's because we cannot memorize everything, it's always a very useful resource for us when we want to see what term means what and what are the examples that we can include in that Darwin Core term. We will be sending you the link in the email that will be sent after the session today. And please, I request you all to review the Darwin Core Quick Reference Guide. Now we will look at some of the examples of Darwin Core terms to help you understand how it is shown in Darwin Core Quick Reference Guide and also help you understand how it works. The first term we'll review is the term through which we can easily realize the importance of using standards, because event date or date of observation of the species, as we know, any dates can be written in many different formats in different countries. And some formats can really get us confused with day or month, like when using the format month, day, year, or day, month, year. So when the month and day comes in written 1 to 12, it really gets us confused, right? Whether it's month or day. So that is why we need a standard in sharing data as such. And in Darwin Core, event date is shared in this format that I have put in a red box: 4-digit year, dash 2-digit month, dash 2-digit day of the month. So this conforms to ISO 8601-12019 format. And if we also have recorded a time of observation of species, we can obviously combine it with the event date, as you can see in the examples here. Next term, we have our country and country code within the location category on the right of Darwin Core Quick Reference Guide. What happens generally is data holders usually have the country field for their occurrence of species, but this can be quite messy, sometimes with misspellings, abbreviations, and historical names, but it is also one of the most easily standardized data. And as you can note in the comment of the country in Darwin Core Quick Reference Guide in the screenshot here, the recommended best practice is to use a controlled vocabulary such as the Getty thesaurus of geographic names, and controlled vocabulary as such places restriction on the values that should be used for that term, and it will be standardized easily. The next term is country code that comes along with country, but many data holders do not provide country code. However, just to let you know that this is the strongly recommended field within occurrence dataset of GBIF. And it is also, again, another field that can easily be provided because the recommendation is to use ISO 31661 alpha 2 country code. This is basically 2-digit country code for a country. There are many data quality requirements for the data set that we'll learn about later in the course. The next term is basis of record. So basis of record is a mandatory field for an occurrence data set, which Andrew mentioned that it is the most common type of data set shared in GBIF. This is the nature of each record in your data set, how you have observed the species in nature. So it follows a controlled vocabulary. As you can see in the screenshot, you can only choose from the vocabularies that are given there. You can choose from material entity, preserved specimen, fossil specimen, living specimen, material sample, event, human observation, machine observation, taxon, occurrence, and material citation. Just to give you an example of how to choose a basis of record, for example, if your data is from Natural History Museum and is preserved, you can keep the basis of record as preserved specimen. If it is a fossil, you can keep it as a fossil specimen. If it is from botanical garden or zoo, you can say it is a living specimen. If you have observed in the field yourself, you can say it's a human observation, and so on. We can obviously discuss about all of these in the coming sessions. And then the last term I'll review with you is occurrence ID. This is also one of the mandatory field for an occurrence data set to be published. This is an unique identifier for the occurrence of the species itself. So any records that you have within your data set, you need to provide a unique ID. Basically obviously unique within your data set, but also try to make it unique for all of the records that has been published in GBIF, maybe by combining some of the unique identifiers within your data set. However, recommended best practice is to use globally unique identifier, that is also called GUID, that you can obviously generate from many tools that is available on the internet. But in case you don't want to use GUID, you can combine unique identifiers within your institution or data set, or even your name initials or your project identifier to make it as unique as possible. As shown in the example that's here in the blue box, you can see that the institution code, collection code, and the catalog number of a natural history museum has been, combined to make it as unique as possible. So that depends on you how you form an occurrence ID. So this is about simple Darwin code that's available in Darwin Quick Reference Guide. But sometimes what happens is with all the terms that's available in Darwin Code Quick Reference Guide, we might come to know that some data that we have cannot be shared with that. For example, the data could be image or sound files of the species, or perhaps we have, extensive data on the weights and size of the individuals that has been observed, or we can also have detailed historical information on the identification of a taxon. So when this happens, what we can do is we can make a base data that we call it as core, and then we can provide an additional file as a supplement to the core file that is known as extension. So you just basically create two files and link a core and extension to provide that extra information that you have. The examples that I just talked about, image or sound files, for that we could use simple multimedia extension. For weights and size of the individual, we can use measurement or facts, and for historical information, we can use identification history. So, but there are many more extensions in GBIF that we can use apart from these. These are just the examples. Data, when we share in GBIF, it is currently submitted via a Darwin Core archive, which is an expression of the Darwin Core text guide, encoded as the UTF-8. It is a compressed file containing a minimum of 3 files. As you can see in the example here, this is a simple Darwin Core archive containing only one core file, that is the occurrence.txt. So this is a data file conforming to simple Darwin Core in a CSV format, and it will contain the record of the species, and the first row will include Darwin Core standard term names. If you have extensions, there will be more such files in the Darwin Core archive. Like if you have simple multimedia extension, there could be media.txt, another file, CSV format file. And then the next file is meta.xml. This is in XML format. It will basically contain technical details to instruct a computer in how to use your data file, instruction to the computer basically. And then EML.xml is also in XML format that will contain metadata about your data set. So this will be an explanatory details about the records that you have within your data file to instruct a user if the data will be fit for their use. So that's what Darwin Core Archive is about. So as I already mentioned, if you have more files and extensions, there will be more files in the archive. So just to let you quickly know that Darwin Core, although has been GBIF's preferred method of publishing since 2012, GBIF is now approaching a new model called Darwin Core Data Package, which is basically intended to broaden the range of scientific questions that GBIF can address and expand the scope of data that can be published through GBIF, engage with new data communities, and build tools to enable data flows based on the updated standard. There has been many changes that has been proposed to the Darwin Core terms and also new model that has been proposed. The community has been developing the work on this model since 2022, and the standards development for this model has been in development since 2023. I think, as far as I know, the Darwin Core DP guide, conceptual model, and all the changes that has been proposed to Darwin Core terms went through public review in 2025 and were recently ratified by TEDx Executive Committee.
Lily, I think your slide has not proceeded. Your slides are not moving, I think.
Which slide am I at?
We still, the Darwin Core archive.
Has it changed?
Yeah, it
Now
has changed now.
it's DP. Yes.
Okay. Okay, this is the sorry, I don't know why I have this issue with my laptop. Darwin Core DP is what I was talking about. This is the new model that GBP is working on. And as I was saying, it is recently ratified by TEDx Executive Committee and will soon become, is now a part of TEDx Darwin Core standard, but will soon also, GBIF will also soon implement Darwin Core data package. Just, is my slide changed? Has my slide changed?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Just to give you a quick comparison between Darwin Core Archive and Darwin Core DP, we can see from the figure here, the biodiversity data that we record is presented as a short story in Darwin Core Archive, linking the extensions that we have or the extra information only back to the core file. It is currently not possible for us to link the extensions with each other or other files, and Darwin Core DP is what makes this possible. We can link extensions back to the core or other extensions or other data file as required, as you can also see in the arrows pointing at different directions here in the diagram. So it is more complex and more complicated, but it also allows you to share more information that you have, for example, for the ecological survey that you have been doing. This might be overwhelming for you when we are just learning about data mobilization, but we just wanted you to know that the changes are coming. And depending on the data you have, it might be exciting for you, or depending on the data you have, if you have a simple data, you can still use Darwin Core Archive. So you can only use what you need for this training, although we will be focusing on the event core, that event data set, and you talked about. So we will learn about that more in the coming sessions. But when GBIF is ready for publishers to begin using Darwin Core data package, obviously they will organize virtual community events to supplement training and let publishers know more about the model and how they can use it. So this is just a quick review I had about Darwin Core Standard and what we are expecting next. But why I was giving this presentation today and not on Thursday is for you, as I already mentioned in the beginning slide, for you to be able to go back home, take time and review the Darwin Core Quick Reference Guide. Try to review the classes and available terms and what fits with the kind of data set that you have. So that the first exercise we have on data capture will be based on that, and we would not need much time in the breakout rooms to discuss this. So please do that. I will also send the instruction in the email that I will send after the session today. Thank you very much. Over to you, Melissa.
Thank you, Lily. Okay, and so yeah, now is like I think you might have more questions than before. So now is the QA session, and for all like introduction about GBIF and Darn Core thing, and like Lily will have more the introduction to the Darn Core part in the exercise this Thursday. So it's still okay if you don't have any questions about Darn Core today.
Yeah, I mean, if it's confusing, we have a detailed session on Thursday on the data set types of GBIF and data quality and Darwin core. So, yes.
Okay. Any questions? I think Hannah, you can still like ask the questions about introduction to GBIF.
Yes, thank you, Melissa, and thank you, Andrew, for your presentation. And Leah, my question was for the slide when you present the overlap for the JBIF locality and the red list for the red list distribution. So usually, يعني from a point from the red list, usually when we publish some of the sensitive data that it's endangered or like that have IUCN status it's endangered, we sometimes, if it's a few samples that we are afraid to take, yani for hunting, for example, or like for some of a plant, we highlight that this is a يعني a sensitive. So when we show it and we present it, the locality approximately for the exact location, it's like within a buffer, or sometimes we don't present. So if we have such data and we want to publish through JPEG, how we can ensure to do this? Do we يعني share another location or what? يعني I know there's a good thing that we have an overlap, but sometimes the sensitivity of a specific species uh, sometimes like may affect or like make some challenges or barrier for researchers. So,
Yeah, sure, sure. I'm happy to
uh,
answer that. Yes. So the question here is really around how to share sensitive data, also sensitive species data. And there are many different ways you could generalize the data, and it really depends on how sensitive the data is, and also where the sensitivity in the data lies. So an example with that could be, for instance, it might not be the species that's the sensitive part of the data. There may be something else in the data so that might be the part you want to generalize. So the key thing is that we have some guidelines on how to generalize sensitive species data. And I saw that Vijay put a link into the chat, and I would refer you to that as a reference to what to how you should be generalizing. So this could be anything from creating these buffers around the points so that you can generalize within that buffer. There are different ways of doing it. I think one of the things that's important in the discussion around sensitivity of the data is also just being aware that there is also benefit in sharing some of this sensitive data. So I think sometimes people get very scared to share data because they think, or because it may increase a threat, but there's also a benefit in terms of the conservation of that species, of knowing where that species is. So it's always taking into account the good that will come from publishing the data, based with the sort of correct generalization protocol that you might want to apply to that data to make sure that it's shared in a responsible and safe way for that. But yeah, so in terms of how to do it, I would refer you to the guide that's in the chat. There's some guidelines there on how you might want to generalize that data.
thank you, man.
Okay, and Abdelmanem.
Thank you. You can call me Abdel, so for short. It's okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, another question for Andrew regarding the official data. Uh, I don't know if maybe in other region, other continents, it's a different culture. But here in this region, governments and countries, they really care about official data. And I don't know how you are dealing with this. I mean, in the platform, and is there any guidance for labeling the data as official and not official, something like that? Because some countries, some ministries, they get very upset when they see data that are not official data, when you present something to them. Thank you.
Yeah, so official, I guess what we mean here is sort of nationally validated reference data sets that, and as such, we don't have a mechanism, sort of an official way of doing it. Aside from this endorsement process of national publishers that goes through a national node, that's one way of getting a sort of a stamp of national approval. But this is only when you have a node in your country, which is why we want to encourage participation more generally in the country. So when an organization comes, it asks for endorsement. And when there's a national node in place, they will endorse that publisher as a kind of it's gone through the national check. This is an official organization that can share data or is able to share data. When we don't have a national node, then it will go through the node steering committee, and then you miss that sort of national step of validation. On the data sets themselves, yes, we don't have specific markers that indicate that this is a national validated reference. But there is the metadata that you can provide additional information, and the richer the metadata that you provide, the sort of better you can validate the data behind it. So that would be the recommendation I would make on that sort of rich metadata, really describing the data under it. And then there's this endorsement process where you get sort of additional national stamping, I guess, of an organization if that structure's in place. I can see VJ's got his hand up. He's gonna.
Yeah, I was just thinking I will add that every record that you access from GBIF, you can always link it back to the data set and to the publisher. So the user has a ability to kind of check where exactly each and every record is coming from and who is publishing it. So that can kind of add that little layer of validity, saying, okay, this data has come from iNaturalist, which is we don't know like who's the person who's posted and validated, versus, oh, this has come from a national agency from that particular country, so it is in some way validated. So that could be like one additional thing that you can check.
Mhm.
Can I also add to this? Sorry, I don't know where the button to put things on, but I just wanted to kind of share something that we have been experiencing in Bahrain, for example, because we've got the Supreme Council for Environment as the official governmental entity, and I believe we have a few members with us today, which is amazing. And as a research institution, one of the things that we've obviously always had in conversation with governmental institutions is that government institutions see themselves as a regulatory body rather than a data generating organization. And not many organizations can actually do both. There are some that could, but a lot of the cases, especially here in the Gulf, for example, don't do both. And if they do, it's usually a one-off thing. So it's not always continuous. So the data sets are not built. In addition, the work that, for example, in Bahrain, the Supreme Council for Environment always does with data, it's quite collaborative. So even in the preparation of the national, say, biodiversity reporting documents, whether to the CBD or any other, what happens is usually invitations are issued to all data, to all stakeholders who might hold that data. and then request for this data to be submitted. So there's a lot of shall we say, data that lies around that is brought to the table. And obviously, when that happens, then they review the data and then decide, okay, what are the methodologies? Is this valid? Is this not? And if there are any questions that are raised, then a conversation can be started. So I think and the reason I'm bringing all of this up is that definition of what official really means, because in the end of the day, we are moving into that space where data is being collaborative in terms of building or generation of data. Previously, it was somebody stuck in a room, a researcher in a university generating their own data, right? Whereas now there is more channels of communication, there's more channels of, even when it comes to publications. Number two, one of the things I was thinking, and I don't know whether this is useful, but at least in Bahrain, whenever we're doing field or ecological data, like research to generate data, we have to apply for a research permit. So the government always knows who's out there on the field generating that data. And one of the conditions of actually issuing this permit is that the data or the results are always given to the government. So I just wanted to put that out there as well. And now researchers, at least here in Bahrain, and I know some of us definitely do that, is we also share the raw data with the government. So just wanted to put this out there if anyone wanted to, carry that conversation.
Thanks, Reem, for sharing your experience and yeah, I'm also like surprised at how your government like manage uh well in your data with the institutions and researchers. So, and just the technical part, I want to mention that the VJ said that you can link back to the data between the data use and the data setting. It's like the GBIF like provided DOI things, even like not only for the unique DOI is not only for the data set itself, but also each DOI for downloading the data from the user. So like when you search on the data on GBIF, it will get the combination of the data from each different data sets. But you will still have one like unique DOI for that downloads. You can like always like give others to as the reference and also like trace back to like what your data is the downloaded is original from. Okay. Uh okay, I'm not sure if I can pronounce your name correctly. Check. You are muted.
Yeah, now you can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah. Yes, so you're correct. Yeah, my name is Sheikh. Yeah. So yeah, I would like to comment on since the GBIF is hosted in Denmark, and I am sure that it's governing by the GDPR. So the data, I mean, privacy and regulation in EU, and sometimes data collection involves some sensitive or some personal or linked. So how to deal with that? Because this might be sometimes very, very, I mean, surprising to come that you are breaching some of these laws in GDPR. So how we can make sure that this pass that filter? And also, there are sometimes the geopolitics pose, risks. There are some countries under sanction. How freely we can collaborate with, let's say, sharing the data in between or acquiring data from particular countries. Because we have seen some cases in the past and we are not sure about that. Thank you. If somebody could comment on that.
Yeah, sure. I think that's a question for me. So in terms of GDPR, yes, so we are based in Denmark. So we are comply with GDPR regulations in terms of, and I'll put a link to our privacy policy in here. Sorry, I'll find that. Right, look. So yeah, so we do that. In terms of sensitive data provided within data sets, so this is where sometimes in information you can there may be personal information that might be within those data sets of individuals that should be shared. That is also an instance of what we'd call the sensitive species data, and we have guidelines on how to generalize for that kind of personal information. So we clearly state that that is something that is sensitive, and we provide ways to our users on how they should be generalizing that data. The other question, so let me just get that privacy policy up so you can have a read of that, and this should give you information on how we deal with data in GBIF. And that should cover GDPR. The other question around, I think it was sanctioned countries and how we engage with those countries. So as I pointed out before in my original slide, we have this formal network of participating countries. So there we have government membership within within that network. We currently have one restriction with the Russian government and the Belarus government, where we have said that we will not engage at a governmental level with those organizations because of some of this, I think for obvious reasons. But what we don't put on are restrictions to institutions within those countries from sharing data. So organizations within Russia, for instance, can share data. I see Iran is also on there. So Iran, we have made no statements on Iran, and institutions can share data freely through GBIF. So my point is that currently the only restrictions we have in place in terms of governments are with Russia and Belarus. And we do not put any restrictions on organizations within all countries sharing data. So they can share data with GBIF. So institutions in Russia can share data with GBIF. But we do not hold discussions at a governmental level. But that's the only example that we have. Is that clear?
Yeah, almost. Yeah, I was just wondering for the first part, I mean, GDPR. So it's a responsibility for the user or the data provider to comply with the rules, not like GDPR, they can screen out.
For data
So,
that we collect as GBIF, then that is our responsibility. But yes, we put a lot of the data generalization, the responsibility of the data provider.
all right, yeah, okay. And thank you, Hunter. For the second part, I mean, for the countries, I mean, under sanction, let's say, so this is vice versa, let's say, I mean, like, let's say if we are part of GPF, any initiative or data collection or something, so we don't provide data to them or we can receive, I mean, it's reciprocal or how it works?
Sorry, I'm not. Can you say
Yeah,
that?
so I was wondering if data sharing, let's say if we are involving in GBIF, I mean data processing or data formulation or something, and with affected country, is it reciprocal? I mean, we provide, we receive, or we just receive and we don't provide. I mean, how the relation?
So it's not the relationship is not receiving or giving. All we do is we provide an infrastructure on which you, as data organizations, can share your data freely and openly. So ultimately, as long as the infrastructure is there, you can share your data freely and openly as long as you want to, and hopefully for forever, because you see the benefits of sharing it. But we will not put restrictions on the sharing of data from institutions. Does that make sense? So essentially, as long as an organization is sharing their data with GBIF, that will be freely and openly available to all users around the world.
Thank you. That's very clear. Thanks.
Okay. Also add one thing more on this. GBIF is not to ask for giving data, but the role is to support you all the infrastructure and tools you need to share the data. Okay. And so because the time, so I should continue on to give the floor to VJ to introduce about the practice use case. So it's about the butterfly monitoring. Miss VJ?
Okay. So I'll quickly go over the use case that we are going to use for our course. Basically, learning through steps of how to capture data, how to curate the data, and then how to publish the data. So just a very quick introduction to this case study, and we can discuss if there are any follow-up questions to just make sure that we know what we are going to do. So the background of this case study is this is actually data generated by the Swedish Butterfly Network. They have been monitoring butterflies since 2009, and so they have a series of fixed sites, about 500 of them, where they are collecting data depending on the team between 3 to 7 times per season. And they are using two different protocols for this. There is one protocol which is pollard walk or the fixed route protocol. And there is another protocol is point count protocol, where we will discuss a little more about that. And the case study is about publishing that data on GBIF. So the data is collected on paper forms through these standard protocols, and what things we need to do to publish this data. So this is a typical case where many of your organizations might have collected data using different methods, and how do we publish them. So a little bit about these methods. The pollard walk is a method where a researcher is walking a fixed path every time the count is taken, and there is a fixed distance on either side the researcher is going to look for and actually count number of individuals of every butterfly species that that person is going to encounter. And these pollard walks are typically 100 or 200 meters long, sometimes up to 500 meters long, and the researcher walks that distance and counts all the individual butterflies in that. So that is the fixed route. The other method used is the circular point site, or so in this case there is a radius of region that is kind of demarcated, and a person has a choice of just standing or sitting in the center and look around, say roughly 25 feet or whatever. And again, same thing, in a fixed time, count how many butterfly individuals that person is seeing, and again record the species and the count. The other variation of this is you still have the fixed radius, but the person actually walks through so that they can explore the region, look into smaller microhabitats, and look at the butterflies at a closer range and record this. So basically, these are the two methods by which the recording is done, and the records are kept into paper forms in this case. So if you see on the right is the form picture of a form. On the top portion is the data about the site or the survey, and the bottom portion is actual count. So the recorder is recording, like they're giving some unique identification numbers. So maybe site number 308 and count number 558. They are recording the date. They are recording the details of the site, lat long, what kind of forest type it is, and most important thing is the date and the starting and ending time. So we know that, okay, this particular count was taken for 2 hours. and this is the location, and then other climate parameters can be recorded if the facility is there. So this is the part where you are recording the data about the survey or the event. And then there is on the bottom, you see the table where actual species are listed. So there were 5 species recorded and 307 individuals of each of these were counted during those 2 hours. So this is how this particular data is recorded and generated. And what we are going to do is basically now learn in next 3 sessions how to capture this data, how to curate that data, and then finally how to publish the data. So that is a very brief introduction about the methodology that was followed for this particular survey, and I'm happy to discuss more if you have any questions.
Okay, John just mentioned that it does not say which method on the survey sheet they use.
Yes, on that particular sheet, maybe it is missed out, or that particular person is always using the same method, and finally he or she is going to write it. I'm assuming that, but you always expect to have some missing data in this kind of surveys. That's true.
Lily, you want to add something? Yeah.
Yeah, just to add, if you notice on the capture section, there are similar logs, and I think that's also one of the tasks for participants to, work on and realize which method has been used depending on the start and end time that is given and the definition of the method that's given in the use case. So we'll work on that, and you can also, I think, when you read the use case and when you look at the data set, you can realize which method has been used.
Okay. Thanks, Vijay and Lily. So, do you have any questions? Other questions about this? Okay. So, before Thursday, please make sure you already review the details of the background of the use case. So we will use this practice use case for all exercises. So just you will get more familiar about how the data mobilization process through the same cases. Okay. If no, we will. Okay. We will hope to see you this Thursday at the same time. And thank you all for coming today. Saying goodbye to you. Bye bye.